It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the midday news on 3FM 92.7. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. This bulletin is also live on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7, also on 3news.com. Coming up this afternoon, minority in Parliament demands immediate suspension of alleged dubious revenue assurance contract awarded SML by the Finance Ministry pending a parliamentary probe. Also, government confident of improved participation in District Assembly elections set to take place in barely 24 hours. And residents and traditional leaders of a Woya community where lithium mining is set to take place are urging government to improve upon the current deal to enable the community to be transformed after years of neglect. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome to the program. Let's begin this afternoon with this. The minority in Parliament want government to cancel its revenue assurance contract with Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. This call comes in the wake of a publication by the Fourth Estate which probed the company's work and why government was paying it 24 million cedis every month for work that it is being done by other agencies. Here is John Jinapo speaking.
Indeed, the minority has discussed this topical issue and we'll be moving processes in Parliament to ensure that there's full-scale investigation. Because we do not believe that there's value for money. This contract is a rip-off. This contract only ends up filling the pockets of greedy politicians and individuals because just a couple of weeks ago, the Mines and Energy Committee visited NPA and we were made aware that they've put in place enough systems, enough mechanism, enough infrastructure to ensure that all the loopholes, all the losses are safeguarded, and that they've even hooked up with the Ghana Revenue Authority to ensure that all those assurances are catered for. And so the question is that why would you need this? Even more importantly, it's turned out that the so-called 3 billion savings was nothing but a hoax. We cannot allow the taxpayer to be burdened with such unnecessary contracts. That only go a long way to fill the pockets of individuals. And so we would advise that immediately that contract is suspended pending the parliamentary investigation. When we go into it, we will find out that indeed all those allegations are true. We would ensure that this contract is abrogated because it doesn't serve the interest of this world. Thank you.
That's the voice of the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo, intimating that processes will be triggered in Parliament for a full-scale probe into the alleged scandal. We'll be keeping an eye on this and we'll be speaking with one of the investigators who put together, who will join us via Zoom with some more update on what have been the big issues the report is putting across and any official response from government on the concerns that the agencies had raised about the deal. We'll also like to hear from you on any of our social media handles at 3FM 92.7. We'll also be touching base with our parliamentary correspondent, Duke Opoku, for some more reactions from members of parliament on this matter. But still in parliament, a member of the Finance Committee of the House, John Jinapo, he says government is finding it difficult to unlock the second tranche of the IMF funds due to the exhibition of bad faith to external creditors. According to IMF sources, the board of the fund will now consider Ghana's request for a second tranche in January next year. Now, Ghana has been in dialogue with external creditors since September, seeking a deal to restructure its external debt. Speaking to the press, John Jinapo says government will have to do more to gain the trust of the external creditors, specifically China, in order to gain access to the further IMF funding.
I appear that government is struggling with the foreign component of our debt. And when we look at the budget, the government was supposed to pay about 12 billion in interest payment as of January to August. As we speak, they've paid only 4 billion, ostensibly because government has unilaterally suspended payment for a certain category of our external debt. And so when you see the budget deficit and the budget improving, it's not because the ministry or government has done anything good. It's just because unilaterally they've suspended payment. And that's a long way to affect the negotiation. So I'm not surprised that the negotiation is stalling. But if you want to negotiate with me, you must come to the table with good faith. Already you've decided that you won't pay me. It's like putting a gun to my head. But you see, the truth is that whilst you can bully and bulldoze your way through with the domestic section, the foreign creditors, they are very, very seasoned. You give them a promise, they've given you money. You can't just go to them and say, take a haircut of 40%. I'm also informed that China is not comfortable with the way the debt structuring is going. China is pushing for equity. China is also pushing for a certain cut-off period. And that has become a problem. And the truth is that if this continues, it ultimately impacts on the image of Ghana. It will ultimately affect the currency. And sometimes even the gains you've made from the domestic side will be eroded because when your currency depreciates, the foreign component in terms of FCD equivalent also increases. So I think the government must come with a clean heart, good faith, with honesty, with integrity. And when they do that, we may be able to have some solution. But as it stands, it's quite obvious that things are very, very tough. And if it continues like that, it can derail all the progress that has been made so far.
John Abdullahi Jinapor is a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament speaking. They'll be touching base with our parliamentary correspondent, Duke Opoku-Mensah, for some more update on the back of the concerns the minority is raising over the delay in the country receiving the second tranche of the International Monetary Fund money. But we're still staying in Parliament and going back to an earlier story concerning the revenue assurance contract with Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, and it is coming in the wake of a publication by the Fourth Estate which probed the company's work and why government was paying it 24 million cedis every month for work that is being done by other agencies. Here are excerpts of the investigation by Fourth Estate.
The Fourth Estate also confronted the managing director of SML with the figures the company churned out as savings it made because of its operations. First was the claim in April 2021 that SML saved the state 1 billion Ghana cedis due to its operations.
If you will use the 2019 as a base,
yes,
yeah?
yes,
subtract this one, you will get 1 billion for 2020.
It's 800 million.
Okay, about 800 million, okay.
Yes.
The company started operations in 2020. From the revenue figures we obtained from the GRA, the difference in the total revenue from the downstream petroleum sector between 2019 and 2020 is 800 million cedis. If all the increment was attributed to the work of the company, it will still fall short of the 1 billion cedis it claimed to have saved. In February 2023, SML Ghana Limited again claimed that it had saved 3 billion cedis due to its operations. The company has admitted the services it listed on its website as curtailing irregularities in the sector did not exist and deleted them from the website. Even if SML was carrying out those services and all the incremental revenue within the period of its operations was credited to the company's efforts, the amount would be 2.4 billion cedis and not 3 billion cedis as it claimed to have saved. When we put these figures to the managing director, he made a shocking admission.
That's why that 3 billion, I'm not. That's why I told you from the beginning. I said I don't know about this 3 billion.
We cannot say your intervention saved 3 billion.
No, I said 3 billion. I'm not. I've told you that I'm not aware. Because when we were told about the publication, we even called the...
As we speak this morning, still on your website.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In fact, to be honest, I don't even know website matter.
So those were excerpts of the latest investigation by Fourth Estate concerning a revenue assurance contract with Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. This is an investigation that has rocked the revenue generation stakeholders in the country. Talk about the Finance Ministry, the Ghana Revenue Authority, for instance, and was championed by the Fourth Estate. Manasseh Zurawuni is one of the investigators who put this together. He's joining us via Zoom with some more on this very latest development. Good afternoon to you, Manasseh. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program. We've seen and heard a bit of the issues the report put across. My question to you is, did you get any official response from the government on the concerns that the agencies had raised in this deal?
Responses have been so far from the MPA, GRA. We haven't got the Ministry of Finance, which appears to be spearheading this contract, to comment yet. But the MPA is very clear that what was in place before SML was engaged was enough to curtail the losses of the past. We got similar responses from officials from the GRA that we interviewed in the course of this investigation. So it remains a mystery why this company was engaged, when in all of this, nobody can point to any of the specific problems that were identified in the sector before SML came on board, namely diversion, dilution, underreporting, and even with companies selling petroleum products and absconding with taxes and then revenues.
Manasseh, thank you so much for joining us with those updates. We'll get back to you for some more on this latest revelation and how far investigations and the quest by the minority in Parliament to launch a full-scale inquiry into how this happened will go. Stay with us here on 3FM 92.7. We'll bring you details in subsequent bulletins. This is a developing story that definitely we're keeping tabs on. And in the subsequent bulletins on 3FM 92.7, we'll be bringing you details. Let's take you now to the Ashanti region, a rather unfortunate incident there, and touching base with my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, who is breaking the story to us. In the Ashanti region, the race course area, where we understand that some properties and shop owners, they are counting their losses as more than 50 metal container shops have been burnt beyond salvage in a fire incident at Kumasi Racecourse Market. Now, this is the second market fire within a week in the city. Ibrahim Abubakar, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. You've been to the scene. Talk to us about the development.
Well, Crosby, I've been able to count more than 70 metal container shops that have been brought down by the fire. And you could clearly see that most of the affected victims have been left traumatized because they've lost all their livelihoods. Like we even said during the French Line Market fire, because of the Christmas season, almost every trader has tried to restock his or her shop. Those who are also into production have double and even triple production. So for them to be hit by this fire at this time is a massive blow on them. So currently what is happening is that some of the traders are just around, just looking around whether they will be able to find something. Others who couldn't also withstand the situation had to be sent home in the morning because a woman came here. She was shocked. She nearly collapsed because she said just three days ago she received some items to stock her shop. So she doesn't even know where she will get money to return to business again. So that has been the situation. In less than 8 days, we've seen 2 market fires, and all this have come as a big blow to the traders.
Right, Ibrahim, have there been any interventions from any authority whatsoever, any promises made from any authority?
So far, I've not seen the city authorities coming here. I've seen some NADMO officials who came around to assess the situation. They are even here to take stock of the number of containers that have been destroyed. But for the traders, They don't have any hope in the authorities because anytime such incidents happen, we see them coming, making promises, but will not be fulfilled. The French line market, as we speak, they've started rebuilding just eager to return to business because they waited on authorities and no form of support was brought to them. So they have to take their destiny in their hands. Wherever they will go and find money, they have to go find it just to be able to return to business and get something for their family.
Right, Ibrahim, just as you put it, this is coming just a week after the devastating fire ravaged the French line section of the Kumasi Central Market, and another inferno destroying over 70 shops at the Racecourse Market. What are the fire service, what are the fire authorities telling you about the spate of the fires in the region, particularly around this time?
Well, Crosby, obviously it's worrying, and for them, they are just cautioning the public because the time we find ourselves in, Harmattan season, everything is literally dried up. So any spark of fire will spread quickly to other facilities. This incident started, and in less than 10 minutes, the fire tenders were here, but just imagine 10 minutes, over 70 containers are gone. So when the personnel came here, all that they did was to make sure that it doesn't spread to other shops. So this is the time they are advising the public to be fire safety conscious and ensure that they do not deal with naked fire. Even though they are yet to ascertain the cause of the fire, some traders are blaming some electrical fault. They said someone left the refrigerator on, just like the French line market fire, and also the incident of gas cylinders in our market also compounding the situation, leading to explosions and also the spread of the fire. So for them, they've made the recommendations several again, and for them, they just have to offer whatever advice they have for the traders.
Ibrahim, thank you so much for your time with us. Ibrahim Abubakar is Ashanti Regional Correspondent, updating us on the latest fire situation at Kumasi Racecourse there. Away from that, to the political arena now. And government is confident of improved participation in the District Assembly elections set to take place in barely 24 hours. We'll touch base with some of our correspondents across the country, as we know that in less than 24 hours, the December 19 district level elections across the country, and the Electoral Commission has begun dispatching electoral materials to the electoral areas. First is our Savannah Regional Correspondent Christopher Mwako, who is at the East Gonja Municipal EC office, joining us with some update on how prepared the region and other part of the country is ahead of the District Assembly level elections. Christopher, thank you for joining us on the program. Good afternoon to you. Have all election materials arrived at the electoral areas ahead of tomorrow's election, especially in the hard-to-reach areas where you are?
Yes, so Crosby, here in the East Gonja municipality, portions of the municipality is beyond the voter lake, that is the Abrumase area. And so earlier today, the Electoral Commission dispatched materials to these areas, and there are 17 electoral areas in the Abrumase area. You have to cross the voter lake to Yeji before you proceed to Abrumase. So that has already been done with some 17 security officers. Now, for those around the other parts of the municipality, the election materials have been sorted, and the various polling officials, some of them have come to inspect the items and will be picking them as the day goes by. So everything is set ahead of tomorrow's district level elections.
Right. But Christopher, before you go, what is the general atmosphere on the part of the voters?
Yes, so Crosby, that I can say that for now we are not seeing any busy thing going on when it comes to the expectations of the electorates ahead of tomorrow. Unlike in the political party elections, where we see some level of movement in and around the area. This one, the entire place is cool. You just see some of the aspirants meeting the electors at their various sitting places, just to remind them that tomorrow is the D-Day for them to come and vote. But for us to see that mood where people are busy with activities, that is missing, Crosby.
Christopher, thank you so much for your time on the program. Christopher Amako joined us from the northern part of the country on the preparedness of the Electoral Commission and the voters themselves ahead of the all-important District Assembly level elections tomorrow. Let's take you to the Ashanti region now. And in less than 24 hours, over 6,000 aspiring assembly members in all but Nkrasah North and South will know their fate in the district level elections. In the Ashanti region, an aspirant at Aputuja in the Bosomtwe district is taking the campaign to another level. This morning, our news team caught up with him, paying for residents disposing of their garbage and also attending Nature's Call. Could this be one method of, if you like, vote buying, or a strategy for him to win votes? William Evans Inkum joins us with more on this rather interesting development. Evans, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Good afternoon to you. How are the people receiving this assistance? But first, the preparedness of the Ashanti region for the elections tomorrow.
Well, so Crosby, I can tell you that the Ashanti region is well prepared. So we're talking about 3,919 aspirants from 1,087 electoral areas. And of course, we're also looking at 212 females and 3,707 212 females and 3,707 males, vying for assembly membership position, of course, unit committee membership positions.
But in the region, clearly, they are very prepared. But does it look like, based on the atmosphere of the region, that the target set by government of improved participation in this year's District Assembly level elections that is taking place in less than 24 hours will be attained?
Crosby, sorry, the line was breaking, so possibly if you can come again.
What I'm asking for, Evans, is the atmosphere of the Ashanti region. Does it look like there's increased enthusiasm on the part of the voters going into the elections?
Well, so apathy is still hanging in the air. That has been the general, mood in some electoral areas that we visited. But I can tell you that the aspirants are also doing every possible just to drive the numbers. For instance, some of them have been making promises that you can only find when there is a parliamentary primary. For instance, we have people who are luring some potential voters by way of giving them money. Some of them are also enticing them. For instance, at Aputuja this morning, we came across an aspirant who had decided to pay for the washroom for any attendees. Public washrooms, so you're going there if you are to pay 1 Ghana cedis before you could access these public washrooms. This particular aspirant is paying for them, and of course, when it comes to the deposit of garbage, you are supposed to pay a fee. He's also paying for such people. So these are some of the things that they've been employing, right, just so they will get a vote.
Thank you so much, William Evans Inkum from the Ashanti region with those updates. Well, here in the capital, Accra, the Electoral Commission is addressing the media on the 2023 district level elections, on the preparedness of the commission and measures it has put in place to ensure smooth running of the exercise. Here are highlights of the EC's press on the district assembly level elections. It is expected to start at 7 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. and all categories of election officials have been recruited and trained. 116,701 officials trained and equipped. All election materials and equipment procured in sufficient quantities and have been dispatched. The notice of poll posted at all vantage points, 38,315 polling stations printed and dispatched. We're also looking at some 71,775 BVDs refurbished and deployed at various district and polling stations. List of all the polling stations and flash points given to security to ensure adequate security provisions. Persons with disabilities, aged, and nursing mothers should be given preferential treatment as is in all elections. Ballot papers and materials for visually impaired persons also provided in enough quantities, and Ghanaians have been treated to cast their votes. Adequate arrangements have been put in place. The EC is concerned about low turnout, however, during elections, and all necessary arrangements in place to ensure a smooth and seamless and transparent election barely 24 hours from now. The Electoral Commission is asking all to refrain from acts that will disrupt the peaceful conduct of the election. So, you will be able to go to your communities and vote on who becomes an assemblyman or assemblywoman in your community. 3FM 92.7 will be keeping an eye on this. We'll be bringing you updates in our subsequent bulletins. Stay with us here. Away from that to some other subjects this afternoon. The chiefs and people of a warrior community where mining of lithium is to take place, they are urging government to increase royalty allocations to traditional authorities before the deal takes off. The agreement, when ratified by Parliament, is expected to bring some appreciable levels of development to the communities. My colleague George Quaining, he has visited the communities, and he put together this report on the expectations of the residents as well as the opinion leaders in these communities.
The conversation on Ghana's discovery of lithium continues unabated, and that has projected the image of Owoya in the central region, where the mining is expected to take place over the next 15 years if it's ratified by Parliament. And that is going to take place on a total land area of 2,012 hectares.
The chief, who is Nana Imbrono Edu the 9th, can't wait to have this very agreement approved by Parliament.
Abaije royalties, 10%.
10% in royalties allocated for the chiefs is inadequate. We're asking for an upward adjustment to either 5, 4, or even 3%. Also, we want government to create a consolidated fund that only the chiefs and the company will manage.
We also sought some concerns from stakeholders, including opinion leaders and the Queen Mother of Owoya.
I plead with government to ensure that what is our share is given to us to drive development in the area and generate employment among our youth.
We agree for mining to be done here. We see a lot of vehicles coming here, and we believe that this is the beginning of development.
I don't think that the same thing will happen here.
I don't think what happened in Takwa and Obuasi will happen here, considering details of the contract signed between the government and the company.
Member of Parliament for Infantimine constituency, Ophelia Mensah Hayford, believes this is a good deal because looking at past experiences, Ghana has learned a lot.
We can talk about Obuasi, what is happening there, our river bodies, the distractions that we've caused to ourselves. I think we, the generation of now, we've learned a lot. And so I don't think the government and whoever will sit for us to continue with whatever is happening in there, at least for the sake of development and for the sake of the generation to come. We'll do something extra, something beneficial.
And that report was filed by my colleague George Quaining there, ending the afternoon news on 3FM 92.7. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. Business news is up next. Good afternoon.
On this frequency, 92.7 3FM.
this afternoon, International Monetary Fund postpones board meeting for second tranche external credit facility disbursement to Ghana to January 11, 2024. Also, President Akufo-Addo commends Bank of Ghana's excellence in driving financial inclusion through recent regulatory measures.
All these have established the Bank of Ghana as an institution of excellence, reflected in recent international recognitions of the bank.
Plus, Ghana's fishing industry gears up with automated fuel distribution to curb poor management of the product. We have the details of this story and many more coming up shortly. Stay with us. Thank you for your time. In our first story, the International Monetary Fund has rescheduled the board meeting to review Ghana's second phase under the fund program and the release of $600 million, now scheduled for January 11, 2024. This is according to sources close to members of the Official Creditor Committee engaged in negotiations with Ghana on restructuring the nation's debt with bilateral creditors. The Flowing Through Business News Desk report has more.
Celebrations of inflation's demise, Georgieva urged central banks to avoid.
Apologies, we'll bring you the details of this story later. Away from that, President Akufo-Addo has lauded the Bank of Ghana for its policy measures aimed at advancing financial inclusion in the country. The president said the central bank played a pivotal role in digitizing the economy, emphasizing the transformative impact on the payment systems architecture.
Recent policy measures introduced by the bank are commendable and aligned with the overall objective of moving Ghana to a situation A. I've also watched with keen interest the bank's leading role in the digitalization of the Ghanaian economy. It will transform completely the architecture of our payment system and deepen financial inclusion to support inclusive and shared growth for our people. All these have established the Bank of Ghana as an institution of excellence, reflected in recent international recognitions of the bank. For 2 successive years, the Bank of Ghana has won the Central Bank of the Year award, with the brilliant governor of the bank, Dr. Ellis Allison, being named on one occasion Central Bank Governor of the Year.
Well, that was President Akufo-Addo there. Meanwhile, Governor of the Bank of Ghana has attributed the significant decline in inflation to an approach of inflation targeting framework. Inflation witnessed a sharp decline from 35.2% in October 2023 to 26.4% in November 2023.
The policy mix under the IMF-supported PCP program is gradually yielding positive results. From the peak of 54.1% in December 2022, headline inflation declined to 35.2% in October 2023, and today it has fallen to 26.4%. I kept on reminding people that inflation was at 12.7% in December 2021, and what we saw in 2022 should not be used to judge us. As you are aware, there has been considerable noise from our detractors who have celebrated the high inflation recorded in 2022. Today, we have indicated that inflation in 2022 was just a blip and we are quickly returning to where we were before the crisis.
And that also there was Dr. Ernest Addison, Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Away from that, the Fisheries and Aquaculture Development Ministry has taken a major step towards improving the lives of Ghanaian fishermen by rolling out 20 premix fuel automating systems across the country out of a planned 50. This initiative aims to address the long-standing issue of poor management within the premix fuel value chain, which has been plagued by hoarding, diversion, and smuggling. Administrator of the National Premix Fuel Secretariat, Nana Abrokwa Asari, emphasizes the project's potential to create a level playing field for everyone involved in the fishing industry.
For over 30 years, when premix fuel has been sold, we've had these challenges for so many years, where there's corruption, there are illegalities, you find people hoarding premix fuel. We've had fatal incidences. People have lost their lives. If you compare this system to what used to exist, where people were fetching fuel with buckets, inhaling the fumes, etc., I believe this project demonstrates that government is really committed to solving the problems of the fisher folks. And I am happy that even the ranking member for the committee admits that this project is a step in the right direction. Previously, when fuel comes, fuel is sold in about 3 hours, everything gets finished because people just walk to the landing beach and then claim their fisher folks, buy all the fuel, hoard the fuel, and then resell the fuel to our fisher folks. We took fuel to Nungwa, fuel that is usually sold for 3 hours. For 3 weeks, the fuel was in the tanks. This will bring savings to government.
That was the administrator of the National Premix Fuel Secretariat, Nana Abrokwa Asari. Still on the automated premix fuel distribution mechanism, with 20 systems already operational and 30 more on horizon, Ghana's premix fuel automation project sets a promising precedent. Meanwhile, some of the fisher folks want a constant supply of the premix fuel. This, they say, will ensure fishing activities in the communities in the country can be sustained. The fisher folks contended a steady supply of premix fuel is top priority and vital for their livelihoods, and they are unable to access premix fuel for their fishing activities, and this has brought untold hardships. You heard some fisher folks asking for regular and constant supply of premix fuel to bolster their trade. In more stories, interest rates on treasury bills have resumed the downward trajectory as earlier predicted by market watchers after the significant decline in inflation to 26.4% in November 2023. The reduction in rates marks one of the most significant declines lately following an oversubscription of the bills. The following 3 Business Desk reports has the details. Interest rates on T-bills have reduced quite significantly following the 8.8% reduction in inflation rate for November 2023. Rates on the one-year bill dropped to 32.49% from about 33.46%. The 182-day bill also saw a decline in yields to about 31.14% from about 31.97% previously, and that of the 91-day bill also went down to about 29.05% from 29.58% the previous week. Meanwhile, government exceeded its target by about 18.57%, realizing about 4.72 billion cedis against the target of about 3.98 billion cedis. For the 91 and 182-day bills, all bids tendered were accepted. However, government accepted about 99.7% of the bids tendered for the 364-day bill. The downward trend in yields is expected to continue as inflation declines, although the pace of decline, according to experts, may not be as sharp as that of inflation rate, so investors can enjoy positive real returns on their investments. And that's how we wrap up Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Minwafo. Kindly log on to 3news.com for more business stories. Do stay tuned. Black Rasta will be up next with Urban Blend.